I'm Carl, and I work remotely full-time, and I've decided to take this job completely off-grid with this 6.1 metre motorhome.
I'm only a couple of weeks into this lifestyle. I'm still trying to figure out how to manage power, stay online with the Starlink and keep everything running while working a 9 to 5. This channel is where I'll be sharing that journey, not as an expert, but someone learning it all in real time. Let me show you what I've got set up so far.
As with all standard motorhomes, comes with a base system installed, has a gel battery, it has a battery to battery charger, has mains in, and all of my control panels up here. This is all run off of a generic lead acid battery. This one's been upgraded because the person who had it before me sort of let it sulfate. This is 185 amp hours, but with less lead acid you only get half the capacity, so it's not massive, but it sort of runs the main systems. As for solar, this cupboard near the door used to house a TV aerial. It was on a pole that slid up and down. I don't watch TV, so instead of drilling new holes in, I cut that out, reused the hole and put a gland on top. The solar panels come in through here. I've got a mains unit for turning this on and off. 30 amp fuse, which I probably should upgrade. It's not fantastic, it gets a bit toasty, but two cables come around. I've just taped all of this because, again, I don't want to drill any holes in this lovely motorhome. Comes down, so yeah, it comes down and splits. It either goes to a Avata 60 amp charge controller, and lets me charge with all 600 watts, and it's MMPT, so we get maximum efficiency. I've just tried to install this Wi-Fi module, so I can hook this up to Starlink and view it remotely, but I'm having problems with that. Yeah, from the charge controller it goes across to the battery and charges that up normally. We also have, for the mains charging, on the legacy system, we have just a bulk standard battery charger. Nothing fantastic, and that comes through a consumer unit. And then obviously to do all the heavy lifting, I've had to put my own system in. And I have a DJI Power 1000, and then an expansion battery. And then on top of that I have the 1.8 kilowatt solar and alternator charger. This sort of does all the heavy lifting. I have a terrible cable that runs all the way to the front of the car, and that hooks up to the battery, and when I'm driving the alternator charges the system at 600 watts. And then obviously you can see behind this piece of sheet cardboard there's a cable that connects to the solar panels. For switching over, I literally just have MC4 cables that I disconnect and reconnect to swap systems. The house system barely uses any power. It's literally lights, fans and so forth, so I don't have to worry too much about the usage. Once every couple of days, it seems, just for a couple hours, I put the solar panels on the Avata charge controller to top up the battery. So I have two separate systems, which allows me to, if I wanted to, use one system to recharge the other. The DJI, with just its 240 mains output, could be used with just a bog standard car charger, and that plug into the gel battery, and I could top that up overnight if I wanted to, if it was getting low. Or I could even have a cable that goes from standard house plug socket to like motorhome socket, so I could just have the whole system run off of the DJI if I needed to. The DJI also has a fancy feature where it will reverse charge the main car battery. So if that was getting low because I've parked up for a long time and the battery is on its way out, I probably should replace it. If the battery starts getting low voltage, the DJI, because the alternator charger plugs up to the battery, it can reverse charge the battery and top that up and keep it nice and high voltage. For the Starlink system, it's really simple. I just have the Starlink wedged in the skylight, and then a cable that just runs round and just plugs into 240. The Starlink does have the capability to be run on 12 volt, or, assuming that you have a short cable, because the 12 volt will like lose voltage and then it won't be able to power it. You can get like a step up to 24 volt, but I've found so far just using the bog standard 240 mains power unit that comes with the device is not too bad. It runs about 35 watts power usage. That's even with the inverter losses. And honestly, I've got so much power that I don't really care too much about that. When it comes to winter and I'm struggling a bit more, I might have to think a bit more conservatively in terms of power usage, but it seems to be going alright so far. As for solar, DJI sort of have their own like approved solar panels, so I went with those just for ease of setting up the system, new compatibility and so forth. They are 200 watt panels. They're flexible. I'll link the dimensions here. But yeah, I've got 3 of those, and they all sort of combine together in parallel, not series. So it's the watts that's going up, not the voltage. Yeah, so I get 600 watts in, or I'm supposedly supposed to, but in reality it's not close to that. Because they're flat mount, obviously you get efficiency losses, and because they're flexible, they don't have sort of any cooling underneath them. I realistically only get about 323 watts out of those. I suspect if I was driving and I had a bit of wind to cool them down, I'd probably be getting a better wattage out of them. As for powering all of my laptop and accessories and phones and so forth, I just have an extension lead that is mounted here underneath the bed for convenience, and then that just links into the DJI power system, and then I can just run cables wherever. I got laptop chargers down here and so forth. I also have the longest USB Type-C cable in the world, and I can have that in bed for charging my phone at night, or I can sit up the front and charge my phone. It has a 140 watt output, so it's good for charging my drones as well. I tried to keep the 2 systems separate for a bit of redundancy in case one breaks. If the DJI power has a moment and I have to send that back for a warranty, then obviously I can sort of rely on the house system for a bit. I'd have to do a lot of driving for obviously the alternator to keep it topped up, but you know, I could last a day or 2 offline, off grid, sorry. And yeah, if the house system breaks, I can still use the DJI to power the entire system through the 240 system, through the 240 in from the van. Yeah, so nice bit of redundancy in case something does go wrong. So why van life? Good question. I was originally going to buy a house in Bristol. I have friends over there, and my work is over there. But during the purchasing process, it was a non-standard construction in the survey, and there was structural issues with the concrete reinforcement in the concrete walls, which basically means it would have been a hell of a expensive repair, and that just sort of scared me off. Within my sort of budget range, there isn't much else out there that I could afford, and I didn't particularly fancy the idea of a flat. I wanted somewhere actually I could call my own, with land rights and so forth. Coach houses, again, convenient, probably within price, but yeah, a bit weird with the ground rules. I have to have special insurance and so forth. It just didn't particularly appeal to me. I also looked at like longboats, but I'm not a big fan of water, so I sailed with this, a motorhome. Yeah. I always sort of have enjoyed going out on mad adventures. Me and my brother Mark go on mad adventures every June. We sort of have a week apart from each of our birthdays. We take that off and we hack abroad. We've done sort of like Italy, the Alps, we've done Norway, we've done the NC 500, and we never really book anything. It's always been a bit of a spontaneous adventure each time, and I quite like that, and I've decided to make that my entire life. Do that full time, live every day as it comes, don't really plan much, and see how I get on. Yeah, so as to be expected, this motorhome
is 25 years old and it has a lot of problems, or it had a lot of problems. I've been sort of working on this for the last 2 months, fixing it up, making sure all of the systems work before I head out on a mad adventure. So in the next couple of videos I'll show you all the different bits that I've done to sort of bring it back up to a livable standard. Yeah, so give me a like, give me a subscribe, all that fancy jazz, and see you on the other side. Cheers.